Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Make It Monday by Request. I'm Jim with Amy Sews, and today I'm answering a message I got where a lady had purchased a T-shirt. Turns out it was too long, and she wanted to give it a shorter hem, and wasn't quite sure as to how to address hemming a T-shirt with the T-shirt knits, etc. Because there's all different kinds of knit fabrics out there, different weights, different machines, different techniques, and of course, everybody has their own opinion. So I thought I'd share with you a couple different ideas that hopefully may help you to get a nice professional look for your hem finishing. And I'm going to take us to the overhead. And here I have this sample done with a standard sewing machine. Any machine that does a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch can achieve this effect by stitching this on your regular sewing machine, but replacing the single needle with a twin or double needle. And that's where you have two shanks of a needle apply to one shank. And you do want to refer to your owner's manual to be sure for the specifics for your make, model, and brand. And basically what you're going to do is put two spools of thread on your machine, thread them separately through your thread delivery system, one going through one needle and one other thread going through the other needle, making sure that when you do thread them, that last step where you're putting that thread behind that little wire or clip right before you needle, one goes in one needle. So let's say that your right spool goes through the right needle, and then your left spool of thread will go in the left needle with it in front of that little clip or wire, because you want to help them to be pre-separated to make it easier to sew and less chances of the threads catching or twisting, etc. And you do want to sew a little slower than normal because you're having two needle threads coming in and still the work of one bobbin thread. What's really kind of nice with that is as it's doing it, you get those two parallel lines of stitching. And as you can see here, I sew with contrasting threads so you can see. And in here, I use red thread in the bobbin. So you're going to have a single thread in the backside actually acting as in a way of a seam finish because it's right on the very edge of that raw edge. And then you have the two twin needle stitching on top. One thing you do want to remember or consider is that you want the fabric to lay smooth and flat. And what ways to achieve that would be adjusting the needle tensions, because you may want to loosen them or tighten them depending on your machine and the way you're sewing, so that you're not getting that billowing of fabric in between the two lines of stitching. You want it to lay as flat as possible. Since we want this to be nice and smooth, we don't want to do the traditional heirloom Martha Pullen method where you do want a raised pin tuck effect on broadcloth. This is a knit fabric. We want to keep it as loose and smooth and flat as we can. So again, I may adjust my needle tensions. If that doesn't help, I may want to use a wash away iron-on stabilizer. That'll give me a little bit of support and help to keep the fabric from tunneling like that. But basically, this is how you can achieve that effect on a sewing machine. Another method that you can do is if you have a serger, let's say a basic serger. And here I have a sample where I was, again, testing out on my scrap of fabric, where I got really good stitching here and not so perfect here. This is basically lining it up, and I'm doing a flat lock stitch. So basically, the fabric was folded kind of like I was doing a blind hem. Actually, you can even do the blind hem stitch for that in your machine, on your serger. Follow your owner's directions for that using the blind hem foot, of course, to help you to line up the fabric. What's nice with that is, again, here you can see with the contrasting thread color, it'll overcast or bind the raw edges while it's hemming it in the same step. And what's really nice is it still has the stretch that you would want. And again, even though I have contrast threads in, can't really see the stitching that much because I was able to line it up right on the fold so that the needle will just kind of kiss into that fold of the fabric and hold it in place and not show on the right side. So that's going to be a little bit of practice and trial and error, because you want the right blend. Because again, if you sew into it too much, you're going to get an effect like this one where it's kind of chunky and it's very bulky on the backside, and actually it's not going to wear or hang well. So you want to find that right mix when you're working with your serger. It just takes a little bit of practice, and you're going to again set it up for a basic 2 or 3 thread blind hem or flat lock stitch. and you do want to take your time doing it. And if you're not familiar with that, again, you're going to have the needle thread tension reduced, and then you're going to adjust the upper looper or upper and lower loopers, depending on which stitch you're using, to adjust them so that you get a nice, even, flat laying stitch. So you can see here, this is doing like a flat lock again. This is like the preferred section right there where it's right on. Actually, the sample I'm going to show you here last is my preferred method of doing it, and that's with a cover stitch. So that's a stitch specific machine or a serger that can also do the cover stitch. What looks really nice is here, I actually did it with a triple. So I have 3 needles sewing into the fabric, and when you flip it over, you got that one really nice smooth edge. And here I'm just showing a little extra fabric was laid in there. What's nice with doing it that way, when you have a little extra underneath, your presser foot is perfectly smooth and level as it's sewing over with the fabric. It's not kind of rocking where it's on 2 layers of one fabric and then one on the other side of the foot. By having a wider seam allowance, in a way, the presser foot's laying nice, smooth, and flat, producing a really nice stitch. Then all you have to do is come around and then trim it off. Just be a little careful. Maybe use a duck-billed applique scissor to cut as close as you can to the stitching. Or if you feel confident enough, just line it up so that when you sew, it'll go right along that raw edge, encasing all of those threads and fabric underneath it together as one. And what's nice with this is you get a really nice stretch, and it doesn't ripple the fabric, and it's going to help to keep it looking nice and smooth and flat all the time, because this is exactly how it came out of the serger. And I was even playing with another type of cover stitch machine where actually it adds an extra thread on the top, so basically the front and the back side look almost identical, and you still get a really great stretch with it. So this is another way that you could produce a really nice effect with your cover stitch, your serger, or even, like I said, your basic sewing machine using a twin needle to get a really nice clean hem on t-shirt knits or light to mid-weight knits. So it's going to take a little bit of practice. If you, again, like support with it, I like to use like an iron-on wash-away stabilizer. If you're an embroiderer, you're familiar with that term. Basically, it looks like interfacing that you can place on the backside and iron it on. I would shy away from the sticky, because as the term sticky implies, it's sticky. It's an active adhesion, and it can gum up your needles, and it could cause threads to break and a lot of problems later on. So I would go away from anything like a stick-on active adhesion. I do like the iron-ons, because once you iron it on and it cools, it's no longer active, so you have a nice bond. The fabric will lay perfectly smooth and flat. You can run it through your serger, your sewing machine, get the really nice, clean, flat look that you want, and then all you have to do is toss it in the washer, and every trace of it just disappears. And you have a really nice, classic, even look to your hem. So hopefully that helps you with your project if you're working with a t-shirt knit, whether making one from scratch or just hemming one that you got a great deal on. So again, if you like the tip, feel free to go and message us, email us at amysews.com. Put attention Amy or Jim, and we'll be happy to consider maybe having your suggestion as a future Make It Monday by request, something different we're offering here, because we do like your feedback. And as Amy would say, please be sure to share the love of our sewing with you and your friends out there. And be sure to check out our website at amysews.com for other programs and specials we have coming up. We have a lot of great things going on in the store here. So if you happen to be in the Western Pennsylvania area, be sure to stop by Amy Buckman Sew and Quilt, located in lovely Harmony, Pennsylvania, just outside of Cranberry, because we'd love to see you. It's a huge store with a lot of great fabrics, machines, and a great staff too. And if you kind of like my tip, you could follow me also at the Original Sewing and Quilt Expo. Just go to sewingexpo.com, because we'll be starting to go on tour again, and classes sign up quick. So you want to be sure to sign up before you miss out. So that being said, thank you all for watching. Greatly appreciate all your support. And as Amy would say, remember, the more you know, the more you sow. Take care.